What's up, guys? All right, injuries today. Alexander was limited. Coleman didn't practice. Ford was limited. Greenlaw and Pettis were full, and Tart was limited. Go ahead.
Is Tevin doing a little bit more out there, and how is he coming along?
No, he hasn't been doing a little bit more yet. He went through the walkthrough and stuff, but none in practice.
When we talked to you last time, you didn't have the results from the MRI. Were those? Did that confirm your initial thought that he was maybe trending towards playing?
Yeah, they were positive results. So we'll see how he is next week, but wasn't able to go today.
What makes this Kansas City offense different than some of the other big-time offenses you played this year, like New Orleans, Baltimore?
I would say probably just the overall speed. You have 3 receivers, under 4.4, and the quarterback's arm strength.
There was a viral clip this week. You were suggesting to a sideline official that there might be a holding call on the play and the having. How often does that happen during games for you? And is there any sometimes when officials either don't take your advice or actually kind of get annoyed when you're suggesting that kind of stuff?
No, I think it's pretty common for all coaches. You just hope when it's man-to-man coverage, you hope the play's on your sideline so you can help alert guys to stuff. Sometimes it's tough for those guys, especially when you have switch releases and receivers moving in and out. So you just try to give them a heads up where we're looking. And but, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Usually have to do whether they PI or not.
How about your Super Bowl experience help you in this game?
How what?
How about your Super Bowl experience help you in this game?
Just knowing what to expect. I've been through the process before, knowing what's down there, knowing how it goes, just media-wise, all the extra commitments you have. You want to keep everything the same, which you try as hard as you can. But it is the Super Bowl. There are some different commitments you have to go to. So knowing the things that will be different already is good for guys who have been there, whether it's coach or a player.
Kyle, beyond Sherm's obvious skills and coverage, what has he meant to this team, sort of in the locker room and by the way he carries himself?
I think he's meant a ton. I think you could ask each guy and probably get a little bit of different answer, but he's helped us the most by how he's played. But then always just having a guy who's been there and done that, especially when you have a young team and when you have a guy who guys have grown up watching a little bit, especially over these last 7 years, with him being in these big games like this and even starting out the year 8-0, going through that and having guys who have been through that and kind of been at the top of the league halfway through and being able to rely on some players who can help echo how tough it's going to be to keep that going. So anytime you guys have guys with experience who have been through it, who are also one of your better players, it helps a ton.
How did you devise your practice schedule this week, and what do you think you've accomplished?
We just had a normal week, and I think it was nice. If we had to play Sunday, we'd be ready. So anytime you're able to go through a week like this where you can go through a whole normal week and not actually have a game on Sunday. Tomorrow we'll still do red zone and stuff like that. And Sunday we'll travel out there. It'll be nice to have a long plane ride for myself, kind of go through all the whole week of everything. And then we'll start over Monday and Tuesday where we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We know what we have, but we have a week of tape where we can clean some stuff up or take some stuff out, and if some more stuff come to us, we can put some stuff in.
Lakin bring to your line?
Lakin's been a stud since he's been here, and he's only been getting better. I think he's at the top of his game right now. He's playing with a lot of confidence. He has the athletic ability to really move fast and make guys run from numbers to numbers, and he also has the power and size to move people just north and south.
Your run blocking scheme seems to have gotten more exotic as you've gone along in your third year. Is that ability of players? Is it guys knowing the playbook more?
I think it's a little bit of everything. I think our staff does a real good job. Mike McDaniel and John Benton, just the stuff they look into each week where they can really isolate in the run game. The more you see how people try to defend you and how people stop you, the more things you try to put in to counteract that. And, playing with a group of guys, especially on the O-line, for going into our third year, I think helps guys execute all the stuff. You can put in some new stuff and it doesn't overwhelm the guys, and then just add in some of the speed element with all of our backs, a number of our receivers who've helped in the run game, not just blocking, but also that they're a threat to get the ball at a lot of times. I think all that ties together.
When you were installing the game plan or putting it together on Tuesday or Monday night, whatever it was, how much did you enjoy that process? And did you draw on some plays maybe that you've been storing in the vault for the last couple of years?
No, you never store plays in the vault. you throw everything you know out at Tampa Bay week 1 based off of what coverages you're going against, and then you spend Monday and Tuesday working hard to try to come up with new stuff based off of what you're going against. But no one ever really saves a play. There's not the magical playbook. It's just tying your guys together, going against whatever schemes, fronts, and coverages you're going against. And I mean, I would be very surprised if anyone in the history going forward can ever come up with a new play. There's only 5 eligibles, and it's probably been done before. So it's how you mix those 5 guys and how you set stuff up.
Kyle, you're known for coaching your quarterbacks in particular pretty hard. With Jimmy, is there ever like a healthy give and take, or is it always like, yes, Kyle, no Kyle?
I mean, Jimmy and I talked to us. I mean, there's always. I mean, I don't know what you mean by give and take. I mean, I'm not like an authoritarian. Is that the right word? Probably shouldn't have tried that. My wife would make fun of me. No, I just talk to him like a normal person. I can get. Can be a little bit of a hothead. He's probably a little more calm and has a more even demeanor to him, which I think we pair together very well that way. But I think we're pretty close, and to where he knows how I am and I know how he is. So regardless of how we are on a given minute or a given play, we're both competitive people, and we both know we're both here to try to help each other be the best we can be. And whenever you have that, you can just genuinely coach someone and not have to worry about anything else. Just whatever's in your mind, you let it come out of your mouth. And when someone knows what your intentions are and who you are as a person, it really doesn't matter how you show your personality.
When you were talking to Jed York in January of 2017, what was important for you to get from him if you were to become, your CEO?
Just how important it was for them to win, just the commitment to it. And, I think everyone says that they're trying to win every single year, but I don't think all teams truly mean it. And, you don't want to go to a team that's just a marketing firm. You want to go to a team that truly, the most important thing is to win a Super Bowl, and everyone says that, but your actions show it, and that's what was, I got to really believe in Jed, by spending about 4 hours with him in that first interview. That was so neat with the opportunity he gave us with the way our contracts were, John and I coming in together. I mean, everything that he said, and he backed up, and you never know until you get somewhere, because it's always hard off just an interview and things like that. But since I've been here for 3 years now, it's even, whether we started 0-9 or went 4-12 our second year, that's only gotten stronger, and he's validated that more and more each day.
How much did the 6-year contract speak to you when you knew that you were the 4th coach in 4 years?
I think it does. I mean, it said a lot. I mean, just in terms of, I think he might have been the one who brought it up first. I can't exactly remember, but he said he was very committed to trying to turn this around, and which I think everyone's pretty committed to turning things around. But I always say you want to do it the right way, which is not a quick fix, and you gotta. I mean, no matter what you do, if you're doing the right thing, you're still going to make some wrong decisions, and you got to be able to weather that storm. And it's very, very tough in this day and age where everything's critiqued. There's articles on everything. I remember growing up and how hard it would be for me personally, just as a kid, and probably my family, that after a bad game, and how worried I'd be about those 2 articles in the paper the next day, and what everyone at school would say to me. And now I don't even know if they do that anymore. They're on phones nonstop, and it's just articles that keep coming. So, I mean, that stuff's over. I can't believe I used to worry about those things. So it's very hard for people to stay the course and to stay positive with things. And, Jed, I think, showed that in every aspect of what he said to us when we were going through the interview process. And it's been right on and even better than I could have asked for since we've been here.
You talk to people around the league, nobody has anything bad to say about John Lynch, and it's, they gush about him maybe more than I've heard anybody. Did you know that about him, how likable he was, how popular he was?
I always felt that. Usually people like that, just on average, usually I'm like, all right, the person's got to be somewhat phony. I mean, what's he really like? No one is really Captain America. And so you're waiting to see how they are really. And that's probably the opposite of how I am. But then you get with John day in and day out, and that's genuinely who he is. And anybody who knows him feels the exact same way. And to have that type of personality, that's just exactly who he is. And on top of that, to be one of the most violent physical players I've ever seen, I think it's as cool of a combination as there is. And I think that's why a lot of people respect him. And he's like that all the time.
Is there a value to that, just from contacts around the league, contacts in college, that you know they kind of like John, and maybe it's a little easier to deal with him?
Yeah, probably. I think at times we do it both times. I think, but it can help us play a good cop, bad cop role sometimes. He's better at one of those, and I'm better at the other. But John he doesn't have to try. That's who he is, and I think we both are who we are, and I think we're very similar people, but come off a little bit the opposite in some of those ways. And I kind of respect anybody who I just know what they are. I think the hardest thing is when you're trying always to figure out who someone is. And John's one of the only few people I've met in my life who seems that on it and that good all the time, and that is exactly who he is.
How did your father most shape or influence the coach you are and the play caller you are?
I think a lot. I mean, not by what people would think. He wasn't sitting me in a room growing up teaching me how to do stuff. We were real close. I think like a lot of father and sons are. I always felt like I was closest with my dad compared to my friends. I'm sure my friends would say the same thing, but I always felt extremely close with him. And not to mention that he had a cool job, and I loved hanging around it. And I always so badly wanted to play, so I was always trying to do that and be something I really wasn't. So I was always focusing on that, but you don't realize how much that stuff helps you until you kind of get into work and you realize the advantages you have and some of the stuff like, man, I guess maybe I was learning as I was growing up and pay attention to a lot of stuff. I don't think that's just totally unusual with me and my dad and father and sons in football. I think that's, if you go by percentages, I think a lot of kids follow their parents into work, especially if they have a good relationship with them. They enjoy what they do, and they get to grow up seeing a line of work all the time. And I think football's no different. What's cool about our job is I was able to go to my dad's office a lot more than I would have if my dad was performing surgery or doing something like that. Being a ball boy, then when I was trying to play, being able to work out up there. And I mean, back then, it might have been against rules, but people don't care as much. But every OTAs and minicamp, I mean, I was doing one-on-ones against the players every day, and stuff like that. As you look back on it, and it was really cool, and I feel very fortunate that I had those things.
A lot of the players say that when they get the install, that it's like Christmas morning. Kyle Juszczyk in particular. Is that enthusiasm and excitement for that unique to them, or is it what you usually see?
I mean, I think it's what you hope that. I mean, you hope you have guys that really enjoy football. And then you hope that you put together a plan that challenges those guys that they still think they can pull off. I mean, the whole part of a plan is putting something together and giving the players confidence that they can they can go out there and have an advantage. And so you teach the plan, you sell the plan all week, you show them the looks, and it doesn't always start that way, I don't think. But by the time you get to Saturday night, I hope that we've given our players a plan that they're very confident to do.
Last one, folks.
In these last hours before you leave for Miami, you've got players out there signing autographs. How important is fan synergy to keep the players fired up as they leave for Miami?
I mean, I hope our players are fired up regardless, but I mean, our fans have been unbelievable this year. I mean, just the way they've traveled and everything. Every game we've gone to, they have traveled unbelievably well. It was one of the way they were in New Orleans blew our minds. It was the coolest thing ever to see the videos after the New Orleans game of our fans going down Bourbon Street and stuff, chanting some of our Niner chants and stuff. It was very risky of them, but also pretty cool. And our fans have been great, and everywhere we see them, I mean, they're pumped up, and when you see them pumped up, it makes us sound more excited.
How much of an influence does George's love for the running game reverberate around the offense, and is that a thing that you've noticed among other players? Is he sort of a ringleader when it comes to stuff like that?
Yes. I mean, it starts anytime one of your best players is who's everyone. I mean, he had the more yards in the pass game as a tight end in the history of the NFL last year. So anytime you have a guy like that who's one of the best players on your team who is always just talking about running the ball and playing the physicality in the game and giving everything he can, it helps you hold everyone else a lot more accountable. And rarely do you have to. When people are watching guys like that do that type of stuff, when they watch guys like Sherm play the run and things like that, it makes your job a lot more easier. When your best guys are doing it, everyone else really doesn't have much of a choice.
All right, next we got Sherm.
Thanks.